Personally speaking,
Yes.
actually when you started into Adventism and then you couldn't find your own identity in Adventism, this to me seems like you were stumbling from one crisis into the next and into the next and into the next. And sometimes people really think philosophy will bring all the solutions and all the answers. But also in your case, it did not. So you continued. How were you dealing with all these crises in your life? Very personal question, if you allow.
The personal crisis that I faced in life was that after I became a Christian, joined the church, my parents began to look at me differently. They felt they lost a son because they built their own dream about me. But now I left my family and I joined another family, a church, and I changed my lifestyle, my dress, and so they felt they lost a son. That's one issue. Then my Hindu relatives also began to make fun of my conversion to, Jesus Christ or Christianity. So I had to deal with that issue also. Besides, since I was indoctrinated in the Adventist church, I was more or less very legalistic in the sense when in my family, when they have some kind of events, and I refuse to take part in it because it is connected with, Hindu religions. So in my mind, everything the Hindus were doing, they were all pagan. As a true Christian, I should have no part of what the Hindus are doing. So that created a lot of problem and a kind of a gap between me and my family. There were so many things happened in that way. So I was basically kind of a person, started my journey as a loner, trying to find my own way, find my ideas, and find people who can go along with me to the task I have taken in India of communicating Jesus with the Hindus. At Spicer Memorial College, I couldn't find any such young people. Most of the young people who came, they came from very poor families, and they were mainly came for a job. So they didn't have much to contribute to me. So I didn't learn much about Hindu religions from the professors, also from the other students. Most of them came from Dalit background. Also, most of the students who came, they were second generation Adventists. There were only few who came from the Hindu background, who understood me, who joined me those days, and they are still with me to some extent, in my idea of this ashram.
From a Western point of view,
Yes.
in your situation, going through all these crises, one would imagine that you also had feelings that you had been betrayed by the Western missionaries concerning your Hindu tradition, your Hindu faith. So it has been a betrayal, really, and not the crisis that you would have to focus on. So were you thinking in this direction also?
Well, first I expected the Adventist Church would validate me and would help me in my journey in developing the Christian Ashram, whereas I was not. And I felt that I have been kind of rejected by my own family and not fully accepted in the Adventist family. There were students, second generation Adventist, they kind of became very suspicious about me too. Why this guy Hindu became a Christian? Did he become a Christian for a job or for a wife or what? Because this is the kind of thinking which was very common in India in those days, even now. So I was feeling very lonely in my journey. However, at Spicer Memorial College, I was encouraged by few individuals like Dr. Cherian and Dr. Albis. These two people were quite indigenous thinker, and they want to bring in Indian culture in the westernized campus. So I always I was supported by the president of the Spicer College, and also few theologians felt, hey, I am developing something new. And so that really helped me. Besides, I was employed by the Spicer College to take care of the philosophy department and teach the courses the way I could teach. And one important thing was that I was able to teach the course on Hinduism. And students liked it very much because I was bringing a lot of material from my own experience. The previous people who taught Hinduism, they just read books on Hinduism and taught from the books in Hinduism. Whereas I was teaching from not only books, from my experience of coming from a Hindu background to Christian faith. So they really liked it very much.
Again, in your spiritual crisis, you might have gone back to Hinduism and not stay with a very foreign philosophical, theological belief tradition that they were, the teachers and also missionaries, were not providing any bridge for you to also welcome your past and your tradition. So it seems you have been betrayed, but they gave you a job. So and you felt, okay, now I can teach a little bit of Hinduism, but still personally, I think the crisis had not been resolved.
Yes, but what I did was I was able to distinguish the difference between what is being taught in the college and the religion from which I came. At the same time, the highly philosophical side of Hinduism that I learned from the university. So since then, I focused my mind on understanding the philosophical side of the Hindu religion. So I read a lot of books on Hinduism, which I could have never read when I was a young kid as a Hindu. And like Bhagavad Gita, I came to read Bhagavad Gita and try to talk to people also when I go out, meet the Hindus or the Buddhists. And through the conversation, I was able to understand a lot of things. Besides, also I was able to understand some of the issues, missiological issues that Indian Christians were facing, even some high-class Christians. So that is the kind of education I was getting through my experience, but not from Spicer anymore. Once I started to teach at Spicer, my mind was very much in studying philosophy, not theology anymore. But the inner urge basically was, hey, I have to communicate Jesus. I have to start an ashram. But I could not do those things when I was teaching at Spicer College. I was wondering how I could realize my dream. So that was a big kind of a issue, how God would lead me to start an ashram. And also, I didn't want to work for an organization, paid by the organization. Then I'm obligated to work for them, for their interest, not for my own interest. So it was a very crucial period, thinking and what to do. Where do I go from there? So that was my question. I didn't want to go to United States. I wanted to still study more in India and somehow find a way to start an ashram. But the situation came in such a way that I had to go to US for higher studies. And that in one way helped me very much to live in the Western world itself is a kind of a education. And not only in the West I could learn about our Western theology, but I could see, experience many things in the Western world. So now I started to experience the West. And the West also is a pluralistic nation. There also people from so many religions came and settled in the United States. So I was able to connect myself with highly educated Hindus, philosophical Hindus, the radical Hindus. So that also another experience.
To hear.
And I was able to participate in interreligious dialogue, and I was able to attend Hindu religious centers, academic centers, and that really helped me to understand the higher Hinduism, Vedantic Hinduism, and the Vedantic Hindu people. So that was another experience I gained after coming to United States.